pet land in Pickerington. We're in the beginning stages of pond season, so we have a tank that's not fully set up, but it's set up more than being pretty to show people how to pot their different pond plants, because there is a technique for that. To construct your pond, you really need to talk to someone that's got experience doing it, because you have different things that you have to be aware of, regulations. Sometimes if your pond is so many feet deep, you need a permit, you need a fence, and there are 3 or 4 kinds of liners. Some of them are very sensitive to ultraviolet from the sun, which would deteriorate fairly rapidly, least expensive, all the way up to a different type of liner that's flexible, all the way to a hard pool-like pond, pre-formed pond. So if you're going to build a pond, make sure that you talk to someone that's experienced at building the pond. Once you have the pond built, then you'll fill it with water just like you do an aquarium and wait through the cycling process, so on and so forth. This particular video has to deal with potting plants only and planting your pond. Kinds of plants for your pond. We'll start with the submerged plants, which are actually just like aquarium plants, and these oxygenate the water and help draw the ammonia and nitrates and nitrite out of the water. They are fully submerged, and some of these plants can even be a marginal plant depending on how you do it. When you submerge the plants, then the stems get kind of weak and mushy, and so they won't support themselves. Whereas the next step is the marginal plants, which are planted where their feet are wet and the plant is submerged about 2 inches above the crown, just like this arrow plant, and therefore you get kind of a transition from your pond to the terrestrial plants. These are peace lilies, not pond plants, so you'll have a plant here submerged that still has some strength to its stems, so it'll be upright. And there are various kinds, not only with these nice broad leaves, but also different kinds of grassy type plants, which look very nice that we don't have yet. So submerged plants, the emergent plants, which are marginal plants, feet wet, crown below the water, and then you have the floating plants, like these water hyacinth. Water hyacinth come from Brazil. They're an invasive species in Florida, and they clog all the waterways, and they're continuously cultivating and pulling these things out of the different waterways in Florida. But they look very nice in the pond. It gives some shade to the fish, and it also, once they get growing, they'll throw down some pretty purple roots that'll go down in here. These happen to be shabunkin goldfish, not koi, which are very pretty in the pond. And then you have water lilies, and we are fortunate enough to have one blooming in the aquarium. We close up at night and open in the day. Now, these are water lilies, the leafy plants, and you'll see that they are kind of deficient of some fertilizer. They're yellow, so they're probably lacking some iron maybe, or some phosphates, because we don't have them planted appropriately for the pond. We have them planted so that people can buy them and transplant them. 2 types of lilies. We have hardy water lilies that will overwinter in the temperate zones, and tropical water lilies, which you have to bring in during the cold months. If your pond is 18 to 24 inches in Ohio, it usually will not freeze solid, and that's what you want. You want an open space in the pond. The fish will kind of hibernate, but you still have some water surface. You'll have a water heater or something in the pond to leave a little bit open so that oxygen can come in and carbon dioxide go out, but there's not nearly as much of those gases exchanges that you would have in the winter as you do in the summers. Now, there are 2 different ways that you would cultivate or plant. First of all, we're going to take this hardy water lily, and I will show you the difference. A hardy water lily has a rhizome, plant grows this way. So when you plant it, you would put it in the pot with a little bit of a 45-degree angle with this part of it, the blunt end, against the container, so that will grow that way and the leaves will come out, as opposed to a tropical lily, which I'll show you in a minute. Now these, after the first or second year, you can divide them and get two plants. They'll form little eyes on this part of it, and you would merely just cut it, and then it would grow that way. This one doesn't have any yet. So when you put it in the pot, 45-degree angle, this end against the edge of the pot, move the leaves around. You can trim them a little bit if you want to cause more growth on the leaves. Next is a tropical water lily. Planted differently. As you can see, this has a tuber, as opposed to the hardy, which has a rhizome. And they're planted differently. This is planted in the middle of the pot, straight up and down. And again, it will have little eyes come on this tuber, and you can cut them off after the first or second year and have two plants out of one. Hardy water lily, tropical water lily. As you can see, it's starting to bud underneath the water. The idea is for the roots to be in the water and the leaves to be on top. So when you plant these guys in your pond, what you'll want to do is you will want to set them in the pond so that the leaves are above ground, above water, and the tuber or the rhizome is in the water. Now, if they're brand new plants, and if they roll that small, you could have them underwater, but put them as close to the surface as you can. And how you do that, you have some type of pedestal in the pond so that you can move these up and down in your pond. It's best to use containers in your pond because you'll want to clean the pond, you want to do some things. The fish will tend to dig them up. So if you have a container, you can maintain your pond better than trying to plant them in a substrate. And if you have a liner or something like that, other than a natural pond or retention pond, you're not going to have any soil substrate. And that's what you use. We have them in stones in our pots just for display purposes to keep them from floating to the top. But what you want to do is you want to get a basket with some mesh around it. They call it hessian. It's like burlap. You put that in a pot that's aerated, pots with holes in them or grids in them, and like this hardy water lily, you would put in the pot, in the soil, pack your soil to here, put in the plant, a little bit more soil, and then some gravel or something over the top to keep everything in. And the burlap then keeps the soil from working throughout your pond.